Friends, hello, what is up? It's Saturday. Let's talk about SoFi real quick. Keep this just a short, I always say it, but it never happens. Short and sweet, to the point here. SoFi, let's be outside the box here for a minute with SoFi. Let's put our thinking caps on here and let's think about 4 to 5 years down the road. If you're willing to put in the time, willing to put in the capital, and what you can truly squeeze out of SoFi here, I think you're going to be very excited about what you could possibly have here in a very short time if you really think about it here. So first of all, first things first here, two key things that are going on right now in the market is that we got Tom Lee preaching that he's expecting a very bullish 2025. Economists are still saying that they expect somewhat of a pullback, but a lot of other economists and Tom Lee himself here, who's got a really good track record, is saying he's expecting very good numbers coming here in 2025, regardless of pullback or not, that the market will increase even if we do see a pullback. So with that, he's talking about a lot of stocks here, and SoFi is definitely top rank with stocks that are being talked about. In this coming week here, we will be hearing about from the Feds, Jerome Powell, talking about rate cuts. Why are rate cuts so important? Well, rate cuts are so important because they have everything to do with what's really going on with banks, but not only that, SoFi obviously being a bank more than not. So talking about that, SoFi could have a really good week this week where we could see SoFi grab a $17 price position, maybe more than that. And let's talk about that. So SoFi is playing around this high 15, mid 16 range right now, looking for a 17, 18, still not captured that 18, but we're getting close. Think about this. Here's what I think people need to think about is that regardless, SoFi is in growing seasons, and it's going to be a growing year for SoFi. So this time next year with SoFi could easily be double what it's at right now, okay? Market cap can be really increased. The stock price could be really increased. We could be at least at 30 to 40 bucks stock position with SoFi this time next year, especially if SoFi every quarter they almost, double their earnings. They're at least, grabbing another 20-30% on earnings per the previous earnings. So, and that's what's been going on here, not to mention how they're growing customer basis. It's phenomenal. It's spectacular how their customers are growing here. I mean, it's like crazy. So think about this. Here's the situation with SoFi right now. A market cap is $17.63 billion at this time of this recording, okay? We're expecting the next earnings to come out somewhere at the end of January of 2025. That's just right around the corner, pretty much. So, but too, with that time frame, SoFi in the market will be going crazy. The market will be pumping like crazy. So SoFi can easily be at a $20 position at that point. Not to mention, if it comes out with earnings right around there, and those earnings are just like crazy good, SoFi is going to be going, it's going to already be at 20, if not bleeding over $20, $25. I guarantee you we're going to be somewhere in that price range, okay? SoFi is going to be killing it right around that time frame. And that's just what, 45 days away here. So with that conversation, here's the thing. If you're willing to put in, if you have money, capital, and you're wanting to really lock in somewhere with SoFi, think about the next 5-10 years. When we look at Wells Fargo, we look at Bank of America here. These are, I put these up here too because these are two of the most, popular bank stocks with dividends, and people, when they're just looking for maybe like something that's really, it's grown, it does well, it's institutionalized company. Generally, everyone knows about these two companies. Most investors, they have some kind of position, maybe one of these companies, or your grandpa, your uncle has position in these companies, and they're always telling you, hey, you should be buying Bank of America, you should be buying Wells Fargo for the dividends and for just the steady growth. Yes, it's a great idea, all that. Now these companies, obviously market cap a lot bigger. Wells Fargo, $235 billion. Bank of America, $350 billion. And then, you can see your annual dividend on these guys. It's not a monthly, but is every few months. You're going to get a dividend price on these. Yearly, it's going to be Wells Fargo is $1.60, really good. And then Bank of America, $1.04. That's all right. But with that too, I'm not telling you to buy those. Do what you want to do. They're safe, whatever. They're fun. They're boring. But with that, okay, let's talk about stock splits. All right. Now with these stocks, are these stocks you should have like maybe just in your portfolio that you're growing for retirement? You say, I want to put $5-10 in something that's safe for the next, ever. Well, you're looking at Bank of America, you're looking at Wells Fargo, you're looking for boring things that just grow. There's no drama, there's no whatever. They just sit there and they grow. Great. Okay. These stocks, these companies, the stocks, they've had splits in the history. Not crazy splits. Nothing. We're not talking like, Tesla splits. We're not talking about Nvidia splits here. They're not huge splits, but they're splits. Now, what the thing with that is that I want people to be aware that bank stocks do split. Now, with SoFi is in a category all on its own where it's a bank stock, but a lot of people like to argue that it has AI attached to it, which it does if you get involved in that with where they have their technology in the banking system. I get the argument. I do. So we'll go there. Now, imagine right now you're able to build up a heavy position in SoFi right now where you're able to maybe get 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 500 shares of SoFi, okay? Maybe you can hold that for the next 5 to 10 years, okay? Maybe within 5 years, SoFi can be in such the new growing stage of where it's at right now that where it could get a little pricey. And SoFi says, you know what? Here's what we want to do. We want to cut the stock. We're going to split it, and we're going to attach a dividend to it. I've seen stocks do it in the past. This is a very common thing that happens to stocks, okay? They'll do a split, and they'll say, hey, we have such a high stock price, and such good, we're the market cap's so big, we can afford and we can do a dividend attached to this, which in the future, SoFi will have a dividend attached to it. There's no doubt about it. It's going to have one here eventually. So with that, friends, imagine if you could have 100 shares minimum, 50 shares minimum of SoFi. Maybe you've got 1,000 shares, but you could hold SoFi into the next 5+ years. It may not even take that long. To where SoFi possibly, it's, SoFi's a little different. We're not talking about a Palantir stock here. We're not talking about Nvidia, okay? Things are a little different here with SoFi. But I think we can say that somewhere in the near future, there will be a stock split with SoFi if it continues to grow like it is. And more than not, there will be a dividend attached to it. So imagine how you would double your position, triple, quadruple your position in SoFi, and on top of that, get a dividend attached to it. This is how people become filthy wealthy in the market, okay? Because then you've got loads of money. You've got a huge position. I dare say you have a retirement fund that's bigger than most people you even know, maybe at your work, than your boss, your manager. These are really things that happen. These things happen all the time where people just build up positions in healthy new stocks. They make positions, and then over time they just grow. Okay, I'm not saying you're buying the new Apple here, but what I am saying, you're buying a very healthy company that has a lot to come here in the future, and that could really get expensive and really get aggressive here on what it's going to be doing here in the next 5 years with potentially dividends, with potentially at least one stock split in the next 5 to 8 years. Very real situation. Listen, 4 years ago wasn't that long ago. 8 years wasn't that long ago, okay? So this is really something to think about right now, okay? And I know there's different types of investors here where the biggest problem with investors right now is that they just don't like to hold things more than 30 days, okay? And I get it. There's people see money and they're like, I need to cash this out. I got to go. SoFi, I dare say, is not that situation right now. I think SoFi, for me at least, is, I think this is something that I personally, I'm holding. I'm holding because I see what SoFi could turn into. I see SoFi as something that could really protect me as an individual in the future, to where I could have X amount of shares of SoFi, to where, yes, it could go into a stock split in the future. Yes, it could pay me dividends in the future. So really, I'm trying to encourage people. I'm trying to encourage you to think really outside the box with what this could turn into. I personally think all of us know this. We need to be buying all of the SoFi we can possibly afford, okay? We need to be buying if you got $5, you got $10 where you want to put it somewhere, SoFi is going to be your best bet. It's going to be your safest avenue to go down, okay? I truly believe that. And I think SoFi, as soon as we hit 2025 here, we're going to get in a very even stronger growing position here with SoFi. SoFi is going to be moving very, very aggressively, okay? And like I said, those earnings to wrap up 2024 are right around the corner. And if they are even just like the last ones we saw, which we're expecting them to just be a little bit better, if they're a lot better, oh boy, SoFi is going to get, you think SoFi is growing now, you just wait. We're going to be well into 20 some dollar range, okay? That is coming regardless. All right. So friends, that's really all I want to say. I just yapped my mouth about SoFi the other day, so I don't want to say too much more. I think this is a little bit of a different angle to look at SoFi right now, and I think it's something that you should really think about where, you know, long term with SoFi, I really believe is going to be your safest bet, okay? You know, this is a company that you could hold until you're like in your old age, all right? To where you're like, thank God I bought SoFi 30 years ago because now I've got all these shares. It pays me dividends. I get dividends every quarterly from this, and it pays my bills. Think about it that way, okay? Think about it that way. Think about this is something that could really bring you protection in the future when you're older, when you're wanting to retire. Think about it that way, okay? Think if you were buying Wells Fargo, back in when did the split happen here? 97, 2004. They had splits back then. Bank of America. That was Bank of America. But Wells Fargo they just had a split back in 2006. I mean, it's not really that long ago. You think about it. But those, Wells Fargo was a very new company in the sense of like getting people's attention back then. It really wasn't that big of a bank back then. It was Bank of America still. Very same argument. These are companies that have been around, but, really with growth. And I dare say, SoFi has so much more potential than Wells Fargo. SoFi has so much more potential than Bank of America because they're integrating into an AI system as well. So this is why the progression in the fierce growth of SoFi can be so much more than these companies that we could easily see SoFi run into $200 billion market cap. We could be in $100 billion market cap before we know it here with SoFi. That's a lot more money, obviously. That's a lot more people holding it, but these are real numbers where this company can go here in the near future, and it will. It is going. It's a very real situation. So friends, think about it that way. I hope that helps someone. I hope that encouraged someone. And I will be back here yapping my mouth about something here tomorrow. Friends, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.